He come last week. He came last week, couldn't he? Got the times wrong. Let him go for a start. Anyway, he needs to want to talk.
Hey everyone, welcome to our meeting this evening, and we will kick straight off. Notice of meeting. Public notice of meeting is given in accordance with Schedule 12, paragraph 10, little 2 of the Local Government Act 1972. Agenda item number 1, apologies for absence.
So we have two apologies, Councillor Bolton and Councillor Wood.
Thank you. Phil. Councillor Lane.
Sorry, you jumped straight into it. I have to say this again. I contend that this meeting has been wrongly summoned. We've apparently been summoned to a meeting by an assistant town clerk who is not the proper officer.
Thank
The
you
law
for bringing
requires
that.
us to be summoned by a proper officer.
Thank you for bringing that up, Councillor Lane. But HR did meet last week. What day was it? I was on holiday, so unfortunately I did have to send apologies. But HR did meet. They did discuss this issue, and they voted to appoint the assistant clerk as proper officer to be reviewed on a 2-monthly basis, and that came through our full council meeting, the last one that we had.
No, it didn't. I'm sorry, I must forget that did not come through.
But as has just been pointed out to me by the assistant clerk, if we are going to go into any staffing issues, I'll have to ask the press and public to leave the room while we discuss that.
I'm sorry, standing order 15 clearly states the proper officer has to be nominated by full council. Not HR, full council.
I'm going to defer to you, Phil, on this one because
With respect, Madam Chair.
Excuse me, Councillor Lehman, you've made a point and we're addressing it. I'm not being rude, but I don't need you coming at me all the time. I've just asked the assistant clerk to clarify what happened. I was away on holiday. Can you please clarify for me?
Thank you, Chair. So at the HR meeting on the 19th of August, I believe it was, the agenda item was to amend the job description of the assistant town clerk, which basically included to cover for the proper officer when the proper officer is absent, and that's been amended, and that was voted through at that HR meeting.
Sorry,
that
does not
Councillor
supersede
Lehman,
standing order
please don't
16.
interrupt when someone else is speaking. Have you finished?
Yeah, we carry on the topic of definitions, and we have to.
Yeah, and I will ask some people to leave the room.
I'm sorry, with respect, madam, that is not a item that excludes press and public. This is a matter of public interest.
If we're discussing staffing issues, Councillor Lehman, then we do have to ask the press and public to
We
leave
are
the room.
discussing application of standing
Thank
orders
you.
with respect.
Thank you, but it involves staff. Councillor Riddles, you want to come in?
That's quite right what Phil said, but it was also said that we had to have it passed the full council.
You said it had to be passed. You said it had to be passed.
So it was a recommendation to bring to full council.
As per standing orders.
Why don't we pass it now? And then carry on.
Councillors, please, can we just... Are you coming back in?
It was on the motion on the committee, and that was basically it wasn't moved, it was voted against, so that didn't proceed to full council. However, understanding orders, the HR committee, apart from the town clerk, can amend and other members of staff, apart from the town clerk. That's why the town clerk issue came to the full council meeting. But again, I think we need to adjourn and ask President Point to leave and we're going to talk about staffing issues.
I've got 3 other councillors wishing to speak. But do you want to speak on staffing issues? Because if you do...
No, we can do that.
Right. Councillor Dalrymple. Councillor McLaren.
Madam Chairman, I would suggest the easiest thing is I have accepted your summons or the summons of the Assistant Town Clerk for this meeting, as have other councillors here. If any councillors with respect feel that they cannot accept the summons, then I would suggest that they have got the right to leave the meeting, either to leave the room or to be a member of public, so they will not have to participate in a meeting that they feel has been illegally or inappropriately called. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Daniel. Is that a motion to the council?
Seconded.
Seconded. I'm going to take a vote on that. All in favour of the motion just put to the table by Councillor Dalrymple that any member not happy with the summons leaves the meeting. All in favour?
Never.
Against?
Okay, so that's 8 in favour.
And abstentions.
Again.
Thank you. That motion has been carried, so we will carry on with the meeting.
Can I have a point of order, please? I would like mention in the minutes that we've just passed an illegal motion, because what's been said is totally wrong. You cannot do what we've just done. It is illegal.
Councillors, we've just passed a motion. I think we've been over this before. When we do have a vote, if it's carried, whether you are in favour of that vote or not, we must abide by the vote. So, members...
So we can break the law, can we? That's what we say.
Councillor Riddles, please.
I'm just pointing out we're breaking the law.
Members have voted. I'm going to move on to the...
Madam Chair, I wasn't going to... All I was going to ask was that it was minuted that I believe that this meeting has been improperly called.
That would be minuted, Councillor Riddles. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 2, declarations of interests. To declare any interest which members have in the following agenda items. Any interest, members? Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 3, public participation. Standing orders will be suspended for up to 15 minutes to allow for questions or statements submitted by members of the public, limited to 3 minutes per person. Do we have any notification of questions?
We do have one person. I've got obviously there's a Frank Hall. Frank Hall. Frank wants to speak.
Madam Chairman, I see you've got a busy night and I'll make it short. I'm very worried about the answer that's come back from North Yorkshire County Council about Estdale School. There's definitely work going on there, and yet they say there isn't. I've tried to contact our MP 3 times over the last month, and she just sent me a nice email back saying that she'll confirm it at a later date. And that makes me suspicious that there is something actually going on there. Now I wonder if the council in their role could approach whoever is responsible for Estdale School, for a councillor and somebody else, to visit and see what actually is going on up there.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. We don't
And I
know...
think
I do
forewarned is
apologise.
better than forearmed. And I think it'd be a disaster for Whitby if we did get overrun with illegal.
Mr. Hall, I'm looking at the bottom of the table and we actually have the North Yorkshire Council with us this evening, Force French Ward, and I'm sure he's taking note of your concerns along with ours. We have raised it in the past, but I'll leave it if Councillor Swanwick would pick up on that one. Thank you. I saw, sorry, hands, could I?
In 1959, I was in a serious mission, and old Matt Seaman came up behind me. I was watching the programme, The Verdict Is Yours. He said, "Son, you live in the corruptest country on earth," and I disagree with him, but he's right. When we joined Scarborough Council, my brother was on the council, Frank Dixon. He joined the Navy in 1940, same as his father went in 1939. We've all followed suit. He begged of the Whitby people not to join Scarborough because they were robbers blind And I think there should be a bloody public inquiry where all the money's gone. I was a silly little lad looking out of the window, because you went to school at 4 years old at the board school. But luckily it was sat there. I said, look man, look at the bombers, they came up the harbour, wiped the old flower gate, all the railway yards and everything. The board school windows went through, so we were home to Whitehall. But what's gone up since we joined? On that day we had 5 decent people. Terminal giver for the bottom end of St. Hilda's Terrace. I don't know who gave escrow, I think it was Edwin. Or Smiley. We had 8 big ship owners. We were the 7th largest port in the British Isles in 1870, and nobody here can argue against that because I did a full year on it, because they looked at our leaving age from 14 to 15 in 1948, and we did a year on it. And what's gone off in this town, the bloody Scarborough. Scarborough, the brother warned everybody. They cried him down. Dick Foster and Florrie Roach, they don't know what they're talking about, but he did. Where is all the money gone? They sold St. Hilda's Terrace, the bottom end, for 400,000. They sold Escort for 400,000. That's nearly 900,000. Where did that money go? Also, the hospital was built in 1921 by public subscription for 21,000. The ship owners put the electric in and they operated it and everything, and it cost £21,000 to build.
Yeah.
But since what happened now, Scarborough 2 or 3 years ago got £1,250,000 from the lottery money. That lottery money was for us, Scarborough and Whitby area. They gave it to Scarborough Rugby Club. Next notice, they gave Scarborough a £900,000 loan to the squash course. Where's all this money gone?
Yeah, I agree, Mr. Dixon, and I certainly
Because
wouldn't
they
question
say
your knowledge.
we're in a corrupt society, it's pretty mild.
Well, hopefully not, but
Oh,
there is lots of work to be
don't
done.
you kid yourself. Don't you
But
kid yourself.
Thank you for coming here and speaking to the council. It is appreciated, and as I said, your knowledge, you're a very wise man and you know lots of things about
The
women.
brother
We
was
look
saying
on.
that's why they cried him down. He
Thank
knew what
you,
he was
Mr.
talking
Dixon.
about.
We were away actually a couple of weeks ago, staying in Southport. We usually go every year. And I don't know whether people on this council are aware of what people feel about the state of this town. We were staying in Southport, and the seafront, it's a lot bigger than Whitby, it doesn't get as congestion for fair traffic, right? But the cleanliness and the tidiness was far superior to Whitby. The main street, back beyond Lord Street, we're doing loads of work, repaving it, putting new paving stones down. The state of this town is absolutely beyond anything. I don't think anybody realises this day. You're living, looking through rose-coloured glasses, what is the old phrase, about this town. It's absolutely appalling, the state of this town. Just everywhere you go, there's weeds, there's cracks in pavements, and Kiddy's Corner, that's appalling. The stuff that's in that harbour with them damned fishing nets and buckets, it's birds. I saw a bird in the harbour the other day, and Janet, my friend, said, one of that bird's tangled. I rescued one about 3 or 4 weeks ago on this swim bridge, tangled up. And I just wonder, do you realise how bad this town is for filth? It's disgraceful, and instead of arguing amongst yourselves like this tonight, I'm sorry, it becomes clown world. There's some good people on this council. Let's stick together and fight for the town, and not projects like, and you'll disagree with me, Mayor, Miss Sandra, you'll disagree with me. Everybody's talking about the farce on the marina, because allegedly there's only one company. Allegedly, that's what I always say, allegedly, got interest in going in there. It's going, we all say around the town, it's going to end up being offices for somebody else or apartment blocks or something. Because
There's no fishing industry.
there's no fishing industry left.
Gone.
What's happened to the other thing you ought to ask about? What's happened? The hospital bridge is probably going ahead. The £2.3 million levelling up that the council was probably involved in, maybe. Nothing's really happening. The stupid idea of the monkey puzzle tree, the whalebone arch down Great Plain, all this stuff. What's happening? Are you aware that the people in Whitby are absolutely appalled at the state of the town?
We're very aware.
And please, fight for the town, not amongst yourselves.
I couldn't agree with you anymore. Thank you, Mr. Dixon. Do we have any more public speakers before we get past the... Mr. Cook, who would like to come to the table and...
Can anyone hear me speak like this?
Yeah.
I'm Peter Budd, I'm an elector of this parish. This is my grandson, Ambrose. He's not old enough yet to cycle to Whitby for the new bike park, but all the kids in Slights are doing that. And the road is unfit, it's dangerous. It's been a matter of contention for 20 years since a boy on a bike was killed by a bus. Now, we've taken our own responsibility to improve it, and we've cut down the laurel hedge on one of the blind corners. We went to Slights Parish Council yesterday, and they have some plan which may improve their end of the road, but you own the Russet end of the road. You don't own it. You know what I mean? It's your responsibility. And the gardening hasn't been done. The hedges haven't been cut back. The verge hasn't been maintained. There are places where a pedestrian cannot jump out of the way of a car coming the other way.
Sorry, what part of the road was
This
that?
is, did I not say that? Sorry, Slights to Russet.
I know the parish, we cover the parish of Russet. That's within our town boundary. Slights, unfortunately. However, I'm going to say that one of our councillors has already raised this, and certainly she will be working with the North Yorkshire councillor to take this further without a doubt, because it is a serious concern, and I'm not just pushing it off because it's outside of our town parish boundary, but obviously we only have a limit to where we can have an input to. But collectively as councillors, I'm sure we will join it.
I only came to speak for 2 minutes, so I didn't come from that.
Apologies, I should have been apologies.
Could I just come in on one subject, please?
I'm hoping that the council will be able to work with Slights Parish Council and the County Council to do the gardening that's necessary. I've done some, but there's patches that I can't tackle without some statutory authority. Now, the parish does have powers. The county will cut the verge twice a year, and there is provision in the Act for the parish to do an additional 3 cuts. Now, that isn't necessarily just cut the grass. That could be preparing the surface so the person can walk on it. And under the Act, the costs can be recovered, because it's a highways duty to provide safety for the public when walking. I haven't mentioned the walking. There's a new campsite on the edge of Slights. Dozens of people walk down the road every day to go to the new restaurant at the Cambridge site. And if you go along there, you'll see that they've done the job. They've put a new fence and they've cleared over a metre of flat surface for pedestrians. But there are other areas where the safety could be improved with very small cost and your support, perhaps with Slights, if you can agree on the project.
Thank you, Mr. Budd. It is a very, very serious issue, and I'm sure whatever can be
So,
done will be done.
after 20 years, it's necessary for there to be some action. One other item is number 7 on your agenda. If you consult your minutes, you will see you have resolved to ask for an asset transfer of the old town hall. And the reason that I left the council, because it would not do what it resolved to do. The clerk made informal inquiries, and the previous council used the building to get a huge grant. And I have all more information if you ever need it.
Thank you. That is, as you've rightly said, it's agenda item number 7 on our papers tonight, Mr. Hall, so we will look at that.
I'll come next week and see how you've approached it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Well, I come back in on a subject, a very serious subject. What is happening about the cemetery? I've just been told a rumour's going round that Scarborough has already bought a plot of land to bury Whitby people in Scarborough. That will be the final humiliation of the Whitby people. Why aren't we just sold a lump of land up near the Abbey? There may be bodies there, but it's sold a lump where they put 60 houses on it.
Mr. Dixon, thank you. I'm already looking at the division councillor and we will follow this up because I'm letting this spring a little bit wider than I should, but the cemetery is a serious issue for this town, so it will be taken on board. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Is that the end of, well, it is the end of public question time, but have I given everyone the opportunity to speak? I'm aware that people have spoken above a little bit. Thank you very much. Moving on to agenda item number 4, the external reports, and to receive reports on behalf of external bodies if present. Do we have anyone here from Anglo-American? No. North Yorkshire Police? No. So we move on to 4C, which is the North Yorkshire Councillor update. If you would like to join us, Councillor Swanwick, and give your report.
I'll join you as far as the end of the table. If you don't mind.
Don't make out you don't like the distance.
Set for somebody a little bit shorter. So, yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. It's quite a long time since I gave a North Yorkshire Council report to your August body. June, first week in June I think it was, and quite a lot of water has passed under the bridge since then, and there are in fact quite a number of new faces around the table I'm pleased to see, and congratulations to all those new councillors elected since I was last standing here. To say that it does look as though this council is gradually becoming an all-woman council. I have to say, I think that was probably a good idea.
It's not a bad thing.
But from a position of being in a minority, I think it's quite a step forward to see so many women being elected to this council. Congratulations. So, I know you've got some urgent business and some important business later on, so I won't give a very long report. I'm sure that would be what you would prefer. But as I say, it has been some time since I've been on my feet at this meeting. So I will scamper through a few items, and then if any one of those items raises questions in people's minds, then of course there will be the opportunity to ask either myself or Councillor Trumpet, I think in his councillor capacity. Is that how it's going to work? Okay. Let's start on something positive, because we've heard a lot of negative comments about the town early on in the meeting. As you probably know, I sit on the Esk Valley Railway Development Company, and the good news on the Esk Valley Railway Development Company is that work will start in the first part of next year on the £7 million worth of improvements on the line to enable extra train services to be put on between Whitby and Middlesbrough. It has to be said that that line is not underused. It just doesn't have enough services to meet the demand. The increase in usage has been phenomenal through the last couple of years since COVID, and it's a real positive that the Section 106 money, which came from the planning consent given to Anglo-American, or I think it was Sirius then, means that there was £7 million available to make improvement. And those improvements will start in Whitby. The points outside Whitby Station are out of date, and they need motorisation so that they can be done remotely. At the moment, as you know, the North Yorkshire Moors Railway have to carry an extra man or woman with a high-vis jacket who gets out and shifts the points manually. Motorised points will make that a lot more straightforward and faster. There's going to be work at Battersby, where, as you know, there's a sort of turnaround at the moment, and there's plans to improve that situation there so it's straight through. And in order to make the points and the extra trains coming through safe, then the Bog Hall crossing has to be made safe, and that, of course, again, is in Whitby. So there's quite a lot of work on that railway line going to take place over the next few years, and that is funded by the £7 million from the planning application which was granted to Anglo-American for the mine. I think the next item was, I've got only the Ferris wheel, and I think there'll be mixed reactions to that. Certainly, I got quite a lot in my post bag in July. People either felt that they hadn't been sufficiently informed about the project of putting a Ferris wheel on the West Cliff, or they just didn't like it, or in fact some people did like it, and I believe lots of families actually came to Whitby specifically to use the Ferris wheel, so there was a mixed reaction. But I was very sceptical when it was first proposed to me. My worry would be that you can accept it for 28 days that it's allowed without getting planning consent, but can you get rid of it at the end of the time? And the concern I have is that it will come back, and it will come back, and gradually it will become a permanent fixture, and that's not necessarily, I suspect, where everybody wants it on that cliff top near the whale bones. But I think we can be prepared for next time if it does come forward. It was done very quickly, and as a consequence, the consultation was not as good as it should have been. My hands are clean. I told a number of people informally. One of them was the town clerk, who has now left, but he didn't obviously consider it worthwhile communicating that to all the council members, because I was in a difficult position being berated by council members that they hadn't been informed, when in fact I had actually given the town clerk the courtesy of a conversation about it in advance. Okay, not such good news. The Adult Gaming Centre, which we thought we'd seen the back of in Baxter Gate, it was thrown out, as you remember, by North Yorkshire Council Planning Committee under the chairmanship of one Councillor Trumper. It was unanimously thrown out. It was for various reasons, but mostly the disamenity it would cause to local residents in the area, running 24 hours a day as a gambling centre. We thought that was the end of it, or we thought it might be the end of it, but unfortunately an appeal has been put in by the company that was proposing it in the first place, called Luxury Leisure, and they have a reputation of winning these appeals, unfortunately. And the reason why they win the appeals is because there was a phrase inserted in the law in the gambling legislation during the period of the last government at some point, which was at the behest of the gambling industry, and that means that local authorities, local planning authorities, in this case the Secretary of State through the Planning Inspectorate, have to aim to permit adult gaming centres. The field is not level. It's balanced in favour of adult gaming centres, and that was specifically written in by the behest of the gambling industry. And I'm pleased to say that our MP Alison to try to change that legislation, and there's a private members bill of which she is a sponsor going forward to remove aim to permit from the legislation. My regret is that it won't be quick enough going through Parliament if it does succeed to deal with the application on Baxtergate, because the date for the adult gaming centre on Baxtergate is that all new submissions have to be in by the 15th of September. Those people and organisations who have put in submissions already can be assured that the planning inspector will see those, but if people want to put in extra arguments, then they have to do it by the 15th of September. So it's been rushed through, I think, by the company that wants to set up an adult gaming centre right slap bang in the middle of our shopping street. And I think we all know that won't attract many people to our shopping street at all. In fact, it could well be a very negative effect on ironically, the agent for the company at the planning hearing argued that there were lots of empty units and this would really benefit Baxtergate. I said, I don't think you'll find that many people immediately agree with you on that. Okay, an issue that's come up quite quickly in July was the cliff lift, and both Phil and I have been working on that. I happened to be at a meeting of the Anglo-American Liaison Committee, which meets from time to time in different village halls around the site. We were in Littlebeck in July, and we got to any other business, and I said, would Anglo-American consider using their huge resources, the skills of their workforce, their tools and equipment, to consider doing a repair on the cliff lift rather than seeing it condemned to be being filled with concrete and abandoned for all time. And I said, I think there's something in it for Anglo-American. They would get an awful lot of positive response from people at Whitby if they were to do something like that. And they have agreed. And I did phone Anglo-American this afternoon to see where we were up to. Apparently they have been to visit the cliff lift, or the manager of the site, who is a technical person, plus other technical experts, to have a look at the cliff lift and take a view on it. And they have now written a high-level report, which they have submitted to Chris Bourne at North Yorkshire Council. And what is in that report, I'm afraid I can't tell you because I don't know. They didn't want me to make that public until such time as it had been received by the council and they weren't sure whether it was still in the post or not. But I'm very hopeful that they, with their skills, can actually come up with a solution for it rather than see the end of it. When you look down the shaft, and there are some historic documents of what the shaft looked like when it was built 100 or so years ago, it looks remarkably like the shaft at Woodsmith. It's segmented cast iron sections bolted together, and it's exactly the same. So they must have the skills to be able to fix it, I would hope. Langdale Moor, as it's called, fire, or Farmingdale's Moor, I know there's a dispute about whether it's called Langdale Moor or not. I hadn't heard of Langdale Moor before, I could say it's always Farmingdale's Moor. But some people have got a conspiracy theory that's to do with the fact that it might have damaged the early warning station on Farmingdales, and they didn't want people to be putting two and two together. Anyway, they've done a damn good job, I think, stopping the fire. Everybody's been very appreciative of all the hard work that's gone in from all the emergency services, volunteers, farmers, local people, all putting their backs into trying to control it. It has been extraordinarily destructive. Luckily, nobody has lost their life. It hasn't actually reached any settlements and therefore hasn't damaged any major buildings or settlements of buildings. But the effect on the environment, the destruction to wildlife, destruction to the moor itself, to the peat, which is the problem where it's burning under the ground, is something that we've got a terrible legacy to deal with. North Yorkshire Council was at the centre of the operations, working with all the blue light services. We had people from emergency planning, highways, communications, public health, and Carl Battersby, the Director for Business and Environment, sat on the Gold Command, which was running the whole operation of bringing together all the resources in order to dampen down the fire and stop it spreading. My understanding is that it is under control in a way that hasn't been before, although there was a small outbreak a couple of days ago again. But the more, I believe all the roads are now open, or most of the roads are now open. The A171 is now possible, and people can get from Whitby to Scarborough. Though why anybody would want to go to Scarborough when you've got a town like Whitby, I really don't know. But I believe a lot of people want to come from Scarborough to Whitby. That's what it's all about, really. A quick one is the Harbour Public Realm Works, 2.3 billion. I think somebody's already quoted it. It was money from. It wasn't actually the Levelling Up Fund. It was the Towns Fund, which many of us may have our shall we say, our suspicions that it was actually aimed for political reasons, but nonetheless, I'm very keen that we don't refuse the 17 million for Whitby, because it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. And part of that is the Harbour Works. I think the eucalyptus tree, not the eucalyptus tree, the monkey puzzle tree, our carrier, isn't it, the tree? That is not going to happen. So you can rest assured on that. But I think some of the good things that were put forward are, and one of the things that was certainly very popular with people was sorting out the lights at Spittal Bridge, Elredale Road, A171 near the overhead, near the high level bridge. And that is going ahead. Now it should have started on Monday, but under protest from residents, North Yorkshire Council has postponed it. I haven't got a new date for it, but they felt it might obstruct the firefighting efforts on the moor, and therefore it has been postponed. But it does need to be started soon. The problem is if it runs through November into December, then the weather starts to deteriorate, and then these jobs get longer and longer because of bad conditions. So I'm hopeful that it will start soon. A couple of small things before I finish. The Boundary Commission looked at the North Yorkshire Council boundary divisions and submitted a report following consultation. That was objected to by certainly one party on North Yorkshire Council, and as a result it seems that the Boundary Commission have now decided they will have another go at it, and there is a new consultation which has just come out. The good news is the proposals for Whitby are not in the new consultation, so we don't have to go through all that again in Whitby, thankfully. And I know a lot of people around this table contributed a lot to that. But it is ongoing for various parts of North Yorkshire. Since we last met, there was a by-election in Eastfield in Scarborough, you'll be aware, which was won overwhelmingly, it has to be said, by Reform UK, which gives Reform UK 2 members on North Yorkshire Council. One was elected as a Conservative, but he switched parties to Reform, and two councillors gives the party the right to the status as a party group on the council, which gives them certain rights in terms of positions on committees and whatsoever, and the rights to speak in certain contexts. So now Reform UK has got 2 people on there, and that was as a result of the Eastfield by-election. There's work going on flooding in Whitby, the lower parts of Whitby, and I was invited to a session with the officers who were meeting residents who had been identified as being most at risk because their houses were set low to the sea level in Whitby, and they have been made they've been invited to take up grants to install preventative measures to keep the flood water out if it does come up. And we don't know it does come up because we've seen it, obviously, haven't we, around dock end and that end. But clearly with climate change, we're likely to see more of it and more aggressively. Final thing is home to school transport, which has been a big issue for a lot of people, including in Whitby. And that is that the rules have been changed by North Yorkshire Council as to how decisions are taken as to whether transport is funded for children. In particularly of concern to residents in the Esk Valley, many of whose children for generations have gone to Whitby Secondary School, and now would in fact no longer be eligible for places in Whitby school because it wouldn't be the closest school. It would be a catchment school as it was before, but the closest school is the overriding criterion. And the problem is that if they brought back the catchment definition, then they've just allocated all places on the basis of the nearest school. And now some of the people who've been allocated places undoubtedly will be upset. In fact, a lot of people are upset, and they're appealing against the allocation that they've been given, largely because of the home to school transport. So the school appeals committee has been, home school transport committee has been meeting round the clock virtually. A group of councillors have been sitting and judging these appeals and doing as best they can to allocate places as fairly and as considerately for families and children who are affected. Unfortunately, there's and I can't say with any clarity on this as to whether this is true or not, but there is an allegation by two of the parties, well, my own party included, that the most recent appeals, the rules have been changed so that parents can't bring advisors to speak at the meetings. Apparently the first time this happened, the parents turned up to have a hearing, and they were told that people they brought couldn't speak. So there's been an outcry amongst councillors of all the opposition parties anyway, and that's continuing, and I'm not sure where that one is going to go. That's all the issues I had, but I will just pick up this one about the Eskdale School because I can deal with that incredibly quickly. And that is to say that there was a rumour that was put to me sometime in June, July, I think, first, that beds were being seen to be moved into the unused Eskdale School building, and that word had it that it was anticipated that 600 asylum seekers would immediately be moved in and 400 more within the year. I can assure everybody in this room that that is not true. In fact, the council has gone to great lengths to deny that rumour and to say that it isn't possible because of the fact that that the school has got a covenant which runs for a further few years, which would have to be overturned by the Secretary of State Department of Education, and that hasn't happened. So it couldn't possibly happen. What may be happening, I suspect, is that Phil and I went to look at the 3G pitch recently because we were concerned about some elements there, and we were shown the part of the school that is being used for toilets and changing rooms for the teens, and that was in pretty shoddy condition. And I suspect that there's work going on there to improve the conditions for the teens using the school for changing when they're playing on the pitches. I may be wrong. I'd be quite happy to go and have another look if people wanted me to do that, but I am absolutely convinced because the Deputy Chief Executive wrote to me and wrote to Councillor Trumper and said we would just like to make absolutely clear the rumours are totally false. So I'm afraid we've been misled if somebody's telling us. I was going to answer the comments from the chap who was sitting next to me about the cars between Russell and Slights. It is a problem, undoubtedly. There is no pavement. A lot of people use it. They walk down it, walk the dogs down it, they cycle down it, and drivers are sometimes not very careful about where they take the bends, and people are at risk. We have investigated, haven't we, Phil? And certainly a proposal was put to the Highways Department, and the figure that came forward was £1 million to put a pavement all the way along. And at the moment the council doesn't have £1 million spare, but nonetheless it's amazing what the council can find if there's enough pressure. So it's worth keeping up the pressure on that, I think. And certainly if kids are involved, then I think people will take notice. So I think that's my report to Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Slight. Councillor Riddles, can you come in first?
3 points. You said about asking what's going on at Estelle School. Could you actually ask them what work they are doing? We know they're working on the changing rooms. Can you ask them what other work they're doing as well?
Well, I've said I'm quite happy to engage, and I'm sure Councillor Trumper is in his other roles, to go and have a look and see with our own eyes. If you're happy to accept our word, maybe we should take the mayor with us.
Second point is school transport. It's all very well saving a few pence on transport to and from school, but every pupil we lose out of North Yorkshire going to Cleveland or wherever is potentially losing Whitby School up to £7,000 per year per pupil. Now that is a significant amount of money that we're going to lose. Aren't North Yorkshire aware of that?
So education officers deny that that is happening, but I think maybe Councillor Trumper would be best answering this because he is a governor of the school as well.
I can answer that. So the intake obviously starts tomorrow, started today and tomorrow. It's 200 new students going. That's the intake this year, which is 30 higher than they expected. They were expecting 170 earlier in the year, but now 200 are going. In total, there's 21 students affected in the Esk Valley in regards to home school transport. But the school are subsidising the bus for those students, for those 21 students that are affected.
Thank you. Councillor Abbott, you're down next, and then Councillor Bamber.
Okay. About the fire, there's been some disturbing rumours or gossip about the farmers who going down to the car park and loading their tanks up with water and being accused of not having the correct diesel in and have you got rubbish and all in. Now, if it's been managed by North Yorkshire Council, why wasn't North Yorkshire Council officials there coordinating the actual job itself and making sure that these lads didn't get distressed? Because they were distressed, I think. And because they were challenged, then they started thinking, why are we doing this? And people are asking stupid questions. We've got white diesel in or red diesel in and all this sort of stuff. Can you let us know if there's anything, if it's true or not? Like that?
I'm sorry, I have no idea about that. I mean, clearly, as you say, farmers are entitled to use red diesel as long as it's for use on their farm, but not on the public road. At one time, there used to be vans driven around by HMRC checking whether people had red diesel in their tanks if they drove a diesel car. I don't think that happens anymore. I think that's government cutbacks probably. But you're right, I mean, there's probably some technical issues there which should be looked at. I'm happy to take that up for you.
I was said, we have a farmer in the original little one who's speaking, you want to say something?
Could I just say that I've been closely affected with work going on with that thing, and it has been absolute chaos. And I think that there should be a public inquiry to see who was responsible for starting that fire. That fire started 3 months before it got spread out to the moor. And that was negligent by somebody in the forestry commission. Now, the fire brigade have done a hell of a good job, but they weren't trained in fighting wildfires. Our head keeper got threatened with the police because he wanted to backburn to save Gortham Road. And luckily, Danby keepers and our keepers did backburn, and that stopped the fire spreading onto Gortham and onto Sykes Moor. If those moors had gone up, for 3 weeks it had been just smoke, right in the middle of the holiday season. What the gentleman said there is quite true. They were stopped taking water out of the Esk for 6 hours because they hadn't an abstraction licence. They were stopped by the chief of the fire brigade because they had red diesel in an emergency. They were fiddling on with little things like that. Now the law is you can use red diesel in a tractor for agricultural purposes, and all that mower is used for agricultural purposes. It was just absolute chaos, and it could happen again, and I think an inquiry would set a precedent in making sure that the right criteria and the men that knew how to deal with it were there to deal with it.
Thank you for that. I would just like to...
Can I speak? I've been to see the MP
No, I'm
twice.
sorry, Mr Dixon, I am so
It's
sorry.
on about the fire. I asked the MPs why wasn't the planes being used?
Yeah,
Because
Mr
we
Dixon,
sent planes to the Greens to put the fire out. Why was not planes used in Britain?
I know, Mr Dixon, I'm not being rude, but we need to stick to the agenda. We've got a
It's
lot
a
to
bloody,
cover.
it's a whitewash, that's what the trouble is.
But thank you to the farmer. I'm sorry I don't know your surname, but we cannot thank you enough for everything you've done, and we have publicly said that, and we will continue to.
And could I just say that, I'm afraid I don't know who you are, but can I give you my card and maybe you could get in touch with me and I will take up your points.
Wonderful. Thank you, Councillor Swanee.
Mr Hall.
I've got one other point.
Mr Hall.
Mr Hall. I do apologise, so many names are coming at me. Thank you, Councillor Swanee. Councillor Amanda Smith.
Yes, I just wanted to ask the question to Councillor Swanee. You talked about the legislation dealt at the Aiming Centre and the aim to permit. Is there anything that takes precedence over that we could direct letters to the Planning Commission that would maybe help to overrule that?
I think it's for Parliament to make changes if they do. It's Parliament who made that rule. That might have been written by the gambling lobby, I suspect. And it's now not a level playing field, as I say. It's biased against those people who object. And I suspect, that in spite of the best intentions of everybody writing to the Planning Inspectorate and the Secretary of State, will result in the Planning Inspectorate taking a very literal interpretation of the law and saying, this is the law as it stands, and unfortunately the local authority has to aim to permit adult gaming centres unless there are substantive planning reasons against it. And I suspect they'll find that any of the reasons that are put up are not sufficient to give enough sufficient weight against it. But what we can do is we can certainly put pressure on Parliament to try and reverse it. But unfortunately, I don't think it'll be quick enough to defeat the application that's going through on tax time.
Thank you, Councillor. Final point now is going to Councillor Harston.
Yes. In a previous life, I was a member of a schools transport committee, and we were very aware that geography trumps direct line distance. And the Esk Valley is a gash in the landscape, which points down to Whitby. It's actually easier to get into Whitby than it is to get up over the moors to somewhere else. So I would have thought that it would actually be cheaper to provide
paid for travel to Whitby rather than to some other location that is an arbitrary straight line up and over the moors out of the valley.
I have to say I agree with you, but the way it is actually being done is with a ruler on a map, and that's how it's decided which is the nearest school. And in some places in North Yorkshire, what they're complaining about means kids have to go over a 1 in 3 incline in the morning and come back down it in the evening, which is a bit of an obstacle. It doesn't encourage them to cycle or walk very much, so anyway. So yes, there are all sorts of issues that have been raised and will continue to be raised about this. I don't know what exactly is going to happen next. There is a review of the changing policy, I think in 2026, isn't it? And that's the opportunity for everybody to input their ideas again. Of course, that won't help the kids who have had to abide by the new rule this year.
Thank you, Councillor Swanwick. Last one, Councillor Ward, and then we're moving on to see if Councillor Trumper, and he will step away as Assistant Clerk to take his role as Councillor if he has any report to bring to this meeting. So Councillor Ward, last one.
Councillor Swanwick, can I just ask you about the public realm and the Tingot turning circle? Tingot, the council got 400,000 shovel-ready money on top of the 2.3 or 4 million for the public realm. Can I just ask you, what did they do with that 400,000? They've got signage all over town that's been temporary for 4 years. There's sandbags burst all over. There's red barriers laid on the floor. And I take photos of how we are logging the amount of big vehicles using that turning circle. They're not coming to deliver, and they're not coming to go over the bridge. They're coming to turn round. It's turned that piece of Church Street into a motorway service. It's absolutely appalling. And there does not seem to be any plans whatsoever to change it. I mean, they might get rid of the plastic arch on Great Lane, and they might get rid of the monkey's puzzle tree. But the turning circle is an absolute disgrace. It's affected badly the concentration of residents in that area. And they're just big wagons and double trucks turning around. I've got hundreds of photos of this happening. Can you assure us that this is going to be looked into? I've brought this up so many times with highways, but there's never ever an answer. Can you please look into this and tell us what their plans are? Thank you.
Well, I mean, yes, I do. I'm aware of the problem that's in Gore, because you brought it to my attention on a regular basis, Councillor Wilde. You're very courteous in copying me into all your correspondence with highways, and I am very aware of it. Of course, it's not going to stay the same as it is now. That's why the money is being spent to improve it. Whether you like the improvements is another matter, but it is subject to considerable change at Tingle from what it is at the moment. It's a bit of a hodgepodge, isn't it? The
point of it is, though, Councillor Swanwick, is to stop traffic going over the bridge when it's shut. So people come on Church Street, they ignore the sign. So they did the turning circle so that the bridge is shut, turn around and go away. But what's happened is big wagons and other transport now come and use it regularly. It's a private car park for Mr. Chips, motorbikes, motorhomes. Motorhomes come and stay with the blue bats for weeks and weeks. They throw the cassette into the harbour, but nobody seems to understand what's happening in Tingle. It's absolutely ruined the area, and because Church Street is 85–90% second homes, where that turning circle is the concentration of residential homes, and it's just causing absolute. You can hear them. They're coming at 5:30 and turning around. It's no good. It's bad, and the residents are really just waiting to hear what's going to happen because they're not going to accept it. They told me that daily. They will not accept it. So I'll keep on sending you the emails, and hopefully somebody will listen. But that is a terrible thing for the area. Thank you.
The only bit that's going ahead at the moment is the traffic lights or the signalisation of the junction on Spittle Bridge. That's the first spend of that budget.
Yes.
But I'm sure we'll get around to Tim Gort and all the other proposals for improving the public realm in due course, and I will most certainly contact you with this.
Thank you, Councillor Swanwick. You've given a very thorough report, and I appreciate the fact that you take the time out to conference back with councillors. Thank you very much.
Maybe you excuse me then.
Yes. Councillor Trumpet, do you have anything to bring to the table in your capacity as division councillor?
Yeah, I think on the cars. So I think it was about a year ago we did put a proposal to North Yorkshire Council regarding the footpath on the cars. And they did look into it, given the due, and it was going to cost £900,000 basically for the footpath. And it was decided by North Yorkshire Council that they wouldn't pursue it because of the cost of the footpath. But again, I think it's something that is an issue, and more and more people are using it. So again, there's more pressure on them, and they might change their mind to decide to put the footpath in.
Yeah.
So it's a project ready to go, but it was looked into. But it was, due to the cost, it wasn't good, they didn't want to pursue it. On the cliff lift, so again, I'd like to thank Councillor Swanwick for raising the issue with Anglo-American initially, and I've also been in discussion with Anglo-American, and so have a few other people as well, including the MP. Regarding the cliff lift, there will be a discussion at the area committee on the 19th of September, where we'll be discussing the report, we'll be presenting the petition that's set up, and also hopefully the information that Anglo-American have provided North Yorkshire Council will be in that report, and hopefully we can have a positive outcome to that discussion. So that will be on the 19th of September at the area committee. Hopefully is that a good thing this time? Yeah. I think it's Scarborough.
I think it's in Scarborough, isn't it? We still haven't resolved the problem of the IT connection.
Yeah, so it's a shame that it's not in Whitby for members to go and attend that. In regards to Westdale School, again, I've received quite a few phone calls from people who were concerned about Westdale School, and that really that's why we needed that information to be corrected. So North Yorkshire Council did correct that information. It is just a rumour. It can't happen. For 7 years there is a covenant on Westdale School, and to change the use of Westdale School, you have to go to the Department of Education, and they have to agree to it. So there's no, and also you have to get planning permission, there have to be a change of use, etc. for that to happen, and that hasn't happened, and will not happen because there's no migrants of that type of number coming to Whitby. So, and there's also been other issues. I know there've been other issues in the county regarding those kind of rumours. I think there's a similar rumour in Selby, but Westdale School is not going to be turned into a migrant accommodation. It's not going to happen. I think what else was the? Can't think. My mind's gone a bit blank. But if there's any questions, I'm quite happy to answer them.
Councillor Coughlin was wanting to come in. Councillor Coughlin.
For the last 50 years, to my knowledge, the cars has been a problem, and it's got worse and worse and worse. I've known it for, as I say, for the last 50 years. I've lived at Bristol, so I was a dream. 2 accidents. One was one of the Blenkies came off his bike, was hit by a car, and there was a young mum with a child in a pram and was hit by a car. There was a plan to do a pavement and cycle track along the side of the cars, but a lot of it was taking back. There's big stone walls, that wide, and it's a case of shifting them back and getting permission, I suppose, from the people that own the land. But every time anything's been proposed, it's just been put away and left. But it is serious because there are more and more cars, and there's more and more people on foot going on there.
I think it'd be a great addition to our connectivity between Rutherford and Slights, going both ways. And it's a shame that they didn't pursue with the project, but again, as Councillor Swanwick pointed out, it came down to the cost.
Yeah. I think all the plans that I've ever seen, it's always been they were going to do it on not the river side, the other side of the road. I don't know whether they could maybe do it on the river side of the road. That you can see far better
you, Councillor Company. I'm going to bring in Councillor Blackwell and then Councillor Bonner.
No, I agree with all the points about the road. I think maybe there could be an option, a temporary option of maybe reducing the speed limit, potentially down to 40 miles per hour.
You take no notice.
No, maybe not, but some people might. And then the foliage, obviously we can look into that. And then maybe even putting in a cycle lane, you would think bike. And when you drive down and see a cycle lane, you're going to think, there might be cyclists, there might be pedestrians. So that could be something to do at a lower cost. I had another question about the line improvements to the line, and I was wondering whether out of that 7 million, anything could be done to improve the look of the train station itself, because it's the first thing you see as you get off the train. It's shabby, it looks neglected, it's not a very welcoming environment. So anything we could do out of that money, if there is any money, to improve the look and feel of that and to brighten up a bit, it just encourages kids to go and drink in there, and people they don't treat it. It's also dark on a night time. I got off there the other day from being in the sites, and it was dark and it was a little bit, if we've got any money to spend for that, that'd be really good.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Wise.
I just want to tell you for information about the cliff lift. Lots of people have taken up the cliff lift and run with it, and that's fantastic. But I just want to tell you, 2 councillors from Whitby Town Council attended the last area committee meeting and brought up the cliff lift. As a result of that, a lot of action has taken place. Prior to that, the same 2 councillors have been campaigning for the cliff lift for quite a long time. So it's really fantastic that so many people have taken to it, and I'm glad that Councillor Swanwick has. I was at Anglo-American when he brought it up. It was fantastic. Councillor Trumper subsequently set up a petition, but I just want you to all understand that it was 2 Whitby Town councillors that started the ball rolling again on the cliff lift. Thank you.
Name them.
Yeah, I just answer that because I think it's important that the area committee because it's really good to see 2 Whitby Town councillors there raising issues on behalf.
Minority who thought that.
No, it was because we are outnumbered as Whitby councillors on that committee, so it was important that the Whitby Town councillors head up to make those points and arguments.
Councillor Riddles.
Have we got any advance on Dundas Gardens play area?
So Dundas Gardens, the last discussion I had with the community officer who's dealing with Dundas Gardens is that he's speaking to the resident who's hoping to set up the Friends group for Dundas Gardens. And hopefully that's progressing. So I'll have to get an update from him soon, because hopefully we want it to progress as soon as possible. But that's the latest update I got on Dundas Gardens.
Thank you. I think that concludes our North Yorkshire Councillors' report, and thank you very much. It's been thorough, and we look forward to any updates from any questions that have been raised. Thank you. So could I ask you, someone good God, I'll start again. Could we receive the reports, please, councillors?
Seconded.
Councillor Ward, seconded. Councillor Cochrane, all in favour? Thank you. Moving on to the neighbourhood plan update. Do we have anyone who can? No. Sorry, Councillor.
Can Councillor Rivers update us? He's our representative on the
we've got.
In terms of the neighbourhood plan, we're currently working on the non-designated heritage
Can everyone hear Councillor Rivers before we
Sorry,
move
I'll
on?
speak
If
up.
not, then I might use the mic.
I'll tell you what, I've got the hearing aids in, and therefore I'm trying not to speak too loudly because I'm blasting my own ears at the moment. Right, we're currently working on the non-designated heritage assets. So it's a list of buildings. For example, I've got things, my mind is absolutely gone blank, and I was doing it this afternoon, but the NatWest building, So things which aren't necessarily grade 1 or grade 2, but which are important to our community. And we have another meeting tomorrow. The actual basis of the neighbourhood plan has been written, it just needs bits of adjusting. So yeah, Andrew's been working on that one, and we've been working on these non-designated heritage assets. It's quite hard to say.
Thank you for that, Councillor Harold. I didn't realise we had anyone who was going to speak to the neighbourhood plan, so I did ask councillors to receive the report. So should we just receive the neighbourhood plan, please? Can someone move it? Councillor Coughlin, seconded. Councillor Blackwell, in favour? Thank you, councillors. Moving on to agenda item number 5. This is the minutes. 5A to approve as an accurate record minutes of the following meetings. Little 1 was FullCouncil on the 8th of July, and little 2 the extraordinary FullCouncil on the 15th of August. Councillor, you wish to come in?
Note error in A2, my name was spelled incorrectly throughout the minutes.
We will correct that. Councillor Lynn.
On the minutes of the full council meeting 8th of July, motion network 4/25. Following communication from a resident, the clerk liaised with the mayor about seeking a legal opinion as per council policy. It was not as per council policy, it totally contravened council policy. It exceeded the budget, there was no authorisation given by council to seek legal advice, and there was absolutely no transparency about it at all.
Sorry, Councillor Lynn, which point on the minutes?
This is motion 084/25 on the minutes of the full council meeting of 8th of July.
Sorry, Councillor Denman, what?
Well, council policy.
No, I mean, what was the correction on the minutes?
Well, my objection is to the wording as per council policy. It was not. It was totally contrary to council policy. Council policy requires any payment over £500 to be agreed with the mayor, and you point out it was the previous mayor, not yours itself, that did it, up to an agreed budget. The budget for that year was £600. The amount under question was £925. Not only that, the £600 budget had already been spent.
Thank you, Councillor. We will note this and we will look further into it and come back with a response if that's suitable. Councillor Amanda Smith.
Sorry, it's not actually a correction to the minutes, but on 08725 we were discussing insurance, and then Clark promised that he would come back to us with the breakdown from the new insurance that we're going to take on. For example, we didn't know how much the toilets were going to be insured for, and he was going to clarify all that for us. Would it be possible, please, to see that clarification at some point in time?
We will look back on that as well, Councillor Amanda Smith, and I'm saying you know so we're not confused with which Councillor Smith we're referring to. Obviously, this councillor's gone down quite a serious issue where we need to clarify lots of work that's been done. Our town clerks are along with us and we're doing our very best to pick up on all these issues. So can we note that?
Yeah, no.
Thank you.
So, one more on motion 088/25. It says swing bridge. Should that not read East Pier Link Bridge?
Sorry, where?
088/25 refers to the swing bridge. Should that not read East Pier Link Bridge?
Up there? Yeah. Referring to a link bridge.
Oh, the swing bridge. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, it's not between next
Right, thank you again for that clarification. Are members happy now that we approve with those points noted for further looking into that we approve the minutes of full council of 8th of July and the extraordinary full council of the 15th of August? Could I have someone to move them? Councillor Blackwell, do we have a second there? Councillor Mulhern. All in favour?
Yeah, that's carried.
Yeah. Thank you. Moving on to 5B, to receive the draft minutes of the following committee meetings. Little 1, the Joint Management Committee of the 22nd of July. Little 2, the Planning and Licensing of the 22nd of July meeting. And little 3, the Human Resources of the 29th of July 2025. Could I have someone that will receive those minutes? Councillor Amanda Smith, are you?
It's not actually a correction to the minutes, but I have already raised the point that the Joint Management Committee is showing that we elected a member of the Little Fellas as Vice Chair, and that's not actually within...
Points are noted, Councillor Smith, and that will be dealt with at the next meeting of the Joint Management Committee. Can I have someone to move that we receive those minutes, Councillor?
Sorry, Madam Chair, one other point. This is brought up to me by a member of the public. Of these 6 agendas and minutes that have been submitted to this, 4 of them have very basic literacy errors, poor grammar, spelling mistakes, which reflects very badly on the Town Council.
We will look at that, Councillor, then, thank you. We've gone to move in, and Councillor, Mr Smith, do you wish to speak, or are you...
Yes, please. Yeah. Just with regard to the Human Resources minutes, it's not a correct record because the voting at the beginning of the meeting was a recorded vote.
And again, Councillor Smith, this is just to receive the minutes. Anything that needs to be dealt with will be dealt with within the next meetings of these committees.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah? Councillor Brown, were you seconding?
I was trying to second, just...
Thank you. So we've had it moved and seconded that we receive the minutes. We've taken the points on board that have been raised. Can we go to the vote, please? All in favour? I think that's carried you. Councillor Riddles? Against?
Against.
1 against.
I abstain.
And 1 abstention. Thank you, councillors. Agenda item number 6, the Code of Conduct. Now it does state here that councillors will be briefed on the Code of Conduct, and you have all had a copy of them sent to you. However, this was something that our previous town clerk had put on the agenda. So, sorry? Yeah, as the assistant clerk's just made my point, this was something that was on the last agenda item where the meeting was cancelled, and we're just trying to bring all work forward so that we've got everything put into its place and it can be dealt with. So I would ask that councillors just receive that Code of Conduct and go through it at your own leisure. I'm sure we will go through that again. There will be training brought forward for councillors, and I'm going to mention now that we've only just received notification that the training that was pencilled in for the 16th of this month has been cancelled due to the fact that we haven't got a town clerk in place at the moment, and we will apologise for that. That's not our doing, that's from the training providers, and we will come forward when another day is brought forward to us. So could I ask...
just a question on the...
Councillor... I'm not having a Councillor
ladies first.
Smith on right. Councillor Amanda Smith.
I'd just like to say I'm very, very happy to accept the Code of Conduct as it stands. I am unable to accept the annotations that are on it.
Yes, sir. The annotations.
The notes and the margins.
Councillors, we've just sent it out as it was on that agenda. We're trying to get up to date with everything. This will be a discussion that can come forward. It was obviously work that our previous clerk had done, and we've just sent it out as is. Clearly he had his own reasoning or whatever was the, you know, the intention of his work with that, we're not following through. I've just said if everybody could just receive the code of conduct, you can read it at your own leisure, and then we will have opportunities when further counselling training comes to the table. So, did I have someone who would move that we just receive that, the code of conduct? Councillor McLaren moving, seconded Councillor Coghlan. All in favour? Any against?
Abstain.
One abstention. Thank you, councillors.
Can I just ask, we won't be receiving this with these comments again because they're infuriating.
Well, as I've explained, Councillor Wyden, we've moved on. We didn't put that on. We're just trying to bring this council back up to date because we've had so many missed meetings. So ignore the comments. Just have the code of conduct, please, and read it for what it was intended, if that's all right with everyone. Thank you. Moving on, agenda item number 7. This is a really serious issue for the council. It's the Old Town Hall, and it's to consider the report and decide to submit an expression of interest to North Yorkshire Council. Now, obviously, this is quite an in-depth report, or as in-depth as we wish to make it. It's a very serious subject for this town council to take on board. We are at a point now, because of the situation with us being without the town clerk for some time, and now the meetings have moved on, we do need to give a response to North Yorkshire Council. Now, if this council is minded to just put forward an expression of interest, subject to, as it states in the report, a business plan being formulated and some serious in-depth work done by this council to make sure that we are happy to either refuse to move forward with the Old Town Hall or in fact take it up. But if we miss this opportunity for an expression of interest, we will clearly have missed the boat, because North Yorkshire Council will then deem it that we are interested and it will move on to be advertised as a commercial proposition. So I'm not leading anyone. I need a motion and a seconder from the floor as to state which way this council wishes to move. Councillor Riddles, you are wanting to come in.
The proposal that North Yorkshire put forward about the wedding venue is ridiculous.
Can I just say, before we move into this, we are not going to discuss the report as it, and I'm not stopping debate here. Whatever goes into that proposal, that business plan, will be up to the choice of this council. Whatever North Yorkshire Council have put in this report is just ideas at the moment. It is not our business plan. So it is purely, we just need to move if we're going to put forward an expression of interest. Councillor Brown.
Can I propose a motion that we express an interest in looking at this further, and then we can do that piece of work which will have to be done in detail, collaboratively, and in detail, rather than trying to squeeze it into a meeting tonight.
Absolutely.
So,
Councillor Lehman seconds that. Can we move to the vote? All in favour?
Can I abstain because I'm being involved with the town hall?
Yes.
Thank you.
And yeah, so the party second. All in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? I think it was. Yeah. Thank you, members. That will be a really serious and quite exciting piece of work for this council to get hold of. Agenda item number 8. Public Conveniences Working Group to consider the report and options presented. Now, again, I would just like to say, and it's then down to the floor, but within the report, and I'd like to thank councillors who have put the work in on the report to begin with. However, within the report itself, it does state that you didn't have all the information that was required. So I think that in view of that, I think some members, and probably members of the council and members of the public, have possibly read the report and come to an alternative conclusion on that. And I think for this council to do any reports, we really need to ensure that they are extremely thorough and the working groups have access to all the information that is required. So I would like to put forward a motion that we accept the report as it's written, but with the motion that, due to the fact that all information was not available at the time, that the report is inconclusive and not the outcome that the Town Council would have presented on a fuller report. Councillor Lehman.
Okay, speaking for the working group, I would say if we can finally get hold of all the expenditure that we requested from the previous clerk that was denied us, we would like to review these figures. We asked several times for all the budget headings pertaining to the toilets, and we just did not get them. That's why a lot of these, you'll notice, don't have an asterisk.
There's clearly a lot of work there. I was under the impression that it was just going to be the last 12 months' work that was looked at with the town, with the toilets. However, the report as is clearly incomplete. It's gone out in the public domain, and people have drawn conclusions from what was available within that report. And I think that Whitby Town Council needs to state loud and clear that we don't stand by the findings of that purely due to the fact of the lack of the information that was required.
If we can get hold of that information, we're quite happy to go back
well,
again.
we will move on with that, but the concern is that this report has gone out into the public domain, and the conclusions that have been drawn from it are incorrect because of the lack of complete information that was required. So that's what's on the table with that. I've already said thank you to the working group. We've obviously put time in, but it's inconclusive with the final actions out of the report, and I don't think we can make any recommendations. Councillor Brown.
You proposed a motion. Can I second the motion?
Right, the motion's been proposed and seconded. Can we go to the vote, please? All
Sorry,
those
can we
in favour?
repeat the motion? What is the actual motion?
Could you read that out again?
Well, it's basically accept the report as is written. The cost of the report is incomplete, with a lack of information. It's inconclusive, basically. So therefore, accept it as it is.
Chair, are we asking the working group to continue?
We'll come back to this. The motion was that the report as is received by the council. However, due to the lack of information available at the time, this council does not stand by the outcome of the report, and it will be looked at further.
Oh, bye.
Well, the council will have to look back at this. We do have a contract with the toilets. We do need to know which way we're moving forward. That contract is coming towards its close. We do need to know which way we're going forward with it. So the council will decide how we move on. But unless somebody can word it, I can step back from my motion. But what I'm concerned about, that toilet report is out in the public domain. It is painting a very bad picture in the end of it because of the lack of information that was available. And therefore, I do not believe Whitby Town Council can stand by that. If anybody wants to put a motion different to mine, I'll withdraw my motion very happily.
I would like to put an amendment to that.
There's an amendment to the motion.
The group are asked to carry on and are given all the information that we've asked for, so that we can complete it. Because we started this with one hand tied behind our back, and we weren't allowed to do it.
We've got the amendment to the floor from Councillor Riddles. Do we have a seconder? We have a seconder. We need to take a vote on the amendment to see if it becomes a substantive motion. All in favour of the amendment?
I didn't hear it, I'm sorry.
So no, could you, sorry, Councillor Riddles, could you just
Could you repeat the amendment, Councillor Riddles?
The group are allowed to carry on, and we are given the information that we've not been allowed by the council. We've asked for all sorts of information and we haven't been allowed it. All we want is if you give us the
With the greatest
information.
respect, I think it's confusing when we're breaking off into a debate on it. We just need a motion, the amendment.
The group carries on, are allowed to carry on.
Full information that we have requested.
Full information you've been requested.
Yeah, that's fine, yeah.
And receive the full information that you've requested.
Councillor Ward, then Councillor Mulheron.
Can I do a counter amendment? That the working party is now disbanded because the figures never added up. The figures were wrong. The report doesn't actually...
She's got no shame.
Does not actually say much. I know a lot of work's being done, but the report is inaccurate.
That is totally incorrect.
Councillors, please.
I'm sorry, that is...
Put your finger down. Put your finger down.
Councillor Lehman, please. We're trying to conduct this in a right and proper manner. We've had an amendment put to the table. We've now had a further amendment to the amendment.
Yes.
I'm going to go to the assistant clerk.
That's all we need. We've had a mover for the amendment, which is helpful.
Did we have a seconder for
We've had a
the
seconder for
amendment?
the
We had a
amendment.
secondary Councillor Lehman.
So we've had a mover and a seconder on the amendment, so we need to go to that amendment, to vote on that amendment first.
So, on the amendment, councillors, is everyone clear what you're voting
The amendment that the working party is allowed, is given the information they requested so they can do the job they were asked to do. That's what the amendment is.
Everyone clear on that amendment?
Yes.
So the group are allowed to carry on and receive the full information requested.
Yes.
Yes, so that is the amendment. Yeah. So we have a mover and a seconder, so we need to start with that.
Can we go to the vote on the amendment, please? Those in favour?
That's 10. So that will be carried.
That's carried.
Can I abstain?
Yeah. I was just going to come back, although my sister Patch just felt that it's carried. All those against? And have you got that? And abstentions?
2 abstentions.
Thank you, councillor. The amendment was carried. So
That was an amendment to your
to my motion, yeah.
So yeah.
So the amendment, how do we go now?
So basically, so the motion and the amendment, so we'll move forward with the group who basically, they can continue and see what information there is available for them.
Yeah, and that's added on to the fact that this town council is
Yeah.
So we withdraw the report.
Yeah.
Can I ask that when we get a new town clerk, the first thing the new town, or one of the first things that the new town clerks do is, as we're coming towards the end of the contract with Danforth, that they look around for other companies for us to deal with, please.
I think, thank you, Councillor Coughlin. However, there is so much important work to be done, and we will highlight the most important issues that must be picked up. We're moving towards the end of the year, where our finances need some serious work, and so we will have an agenda of items that must be prioritised. Councillor Wild, then Councillor Amanda Smith.
Could I just draw Councillor Lehman's attention to the Code of Conduct and courtesy to other councillors? Shouting your finger.
Point of order, Mr.
That is discourteous.
Well, it's not, these aren't agenda items, we're doing an agenda item. So we're on this.
It was a point of order.
Code of conduct.
It was
You're
a point
trying
of
for
order.
the Code of Conduct.
No, the thing is, we're not moving forward.
But councillors, I've got other councillors who are raising their hands to speak. If you want to speak, I will allow it. Please raise your hands so we can keep some control on the meeting. Councillor McLaren, then Councillor Dalrymple, and Councillor Madison.
This is a personal viewpoint. I was quite excited to become a councillor, and I was extremely happy when I got voted on, but I cannot believe the level of, I'm going to say it, childish behaviour that I'm witnessing in this room. I joined the council because I want to try and make a difference for the people of Whitby. I am born and brought up in Whitby, and I've seen it slide, and I want to be part of something that can pull it back to what it was before. And if we can't all just get on and stop being so petty with each other, then I don't even know if I can continue. And that is basically it.
Yeah, I agree with that as well.
Yeah.
That's the hard. I'm going to go around order, then I'm going to sum up on this one. Councillor Dalrymple.
Coming back to the motion, could I just say that we put a timescale on it, please, in line with your comment, Madam Mayor, that this report will have financial implications. We're going to be having to look at setting the budget for 2627 fairly soon, but we need to have a definitive timescale where a report is presented from the council to either accept or not accept and include in the budget provision for 2627. So I would say that we need to have a report back by January of next year at the latest.
I would agree, Councillor Dalrymple, quite honestly, because we have a lot of work going on that we must tackle. Councillor Amanda Smith, and then I'm going to finish on this item.
Firstly, the financial report needs to be back by December at the very latest, beginning of December really, in order for us to reach budgeting potential. The second point that I want to raise is that whatever this report says, there are very serious things in this. Currently, the state of our toilets is really, really bad. I don't know if how many of you are aware, there's hardly any of the disabled toilets that are working. There's considerable damage at Newquay Road. There are numerous things that this council has to tackle now. Not in 2 weeks' time, not in 3 weeks' time, actually now, as soon as possible. And something needs to take responsibility for tackling that.
I agree with that, Councillor. I agree with you totally.
I would like to nominate, if you accept it, Councillor Steve Smith has been in contact with the managers at Danflow recently. They had to call him in when he was out doing watering and said, was there a chance he could talk to them. So he has been talking, he's got a contact there. They're desperate to do something about them. Could we possibly nominate him to at least start a conversation with Danflow and relay back immediately that he's heard something from Danflow back to this full council in order that we all can know what's going on here.
Councillor Amanda Smith, we did have the designated officer, the delegated officer that dealt with that as a point of contact. We've got to remember we're dealing with a company here that has employees, and we've got to respect their duty of care to their employees as well. And I hear everything you say. This is an urgent piece of work, and we will look at that going through the office. Hopefully, we are without a town clerk. It's caused us no end of problems, you all know that, and hopefully we'll have a locum in place very, very soon. And all of these issues are absolutely urgent issues that this council must get a grip on. So I'm going to move from that and state that it does need to go through a delegated officer, Councillor Smith. We will.
Sorry, we were having, Danflow asked us back in June if they could have 3 monthly meetings with the delegated officer and 2 members of the working party. Could we instigate one of those meetings straight away?
We'll certainly look at that. This is information that's coming to the table fresh to us. We don't know all this, but we will certainly do that. It is an important issue and we will follow through. The assistant clerks made well note of that. If councillors could just bear with us to look at that, we will be treating it as an urgent item and we'll get on with that. Everybody happy at that? Did anyone else have their hand? I think Councillor Brown did have her hand up at the bottom.
I just briefly wanted to say that I found the report really interesting, but I also noted that as it stands, it was exactly what was told would need to be done 18 months ago.
Yeah.
You know, they've done a lot of work and we've come up with exactly the same decision that we should have made and could have made a while ago. I'd like to ensure that people like Mr. Cole, who is working alongside the council, is involved in that process because he is very knowledgeable as well, and I don't want to exclude
we need to use all the things.
Exactly what's wrong with it.
Access to officers and previous councils. We weren't allowed to do it. We weren't allowed to.
We've taken that on board. We're trying to move forward. informed in a fresh light. We need to get together on this one. And I'm going to call an end to it. Unless Councillor Covey, you've got anything new to bring to the debate, I'm going to move on to the next item.
I had to use the disabled toilet at the bandstand on Sunday afternoon. There were hundreds of pirates about. The disabled toilet was like a swinging door. It was disgusting. It was absolutely disgusting. And anybody knows, if you go on holiday, what's one of the things that you notice? If the toilets are bad, the town's bad. Yeah. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Councillor Coggin. So, thank you very much. I think we've given that a good air and we'll be moving forward on everything. Agenda item number 9, cliff lift. To consider a formal request to North Yorkshire Council to preserve the lift. But again, I think from the news that Councillor Swanwick brought to the table, it would be very interesting for councillors to see the report from Anglo-American. And I would ask in your councillor capacity, Phil, if you could ensure that that report comes back to the council, because it is important that we know what's happening with the cliff lift. Councillor Mulhern.
Maybe we should actually request a report from North Yorkshire, so change that to, as a council, we request the report.
Is that a motion, Councillor Mulhern? Have I got a seconder for that? Councillor Lehman, all in favour? Any against? Councillor Lehman seconded, and that was carried. Thank you, councillors. Motion submitted to the meeting, 10 little 1. This is a motion moved by Councillor Amanda Smith, seconded by Councillor Blackwell. And I will move to you, Councillor Amanda Smith, if you wish to talk to your motion.
Yes, this came up out of some emergency works that we were informed of quite a long time ago. Obviously, it's only just we've managed to get it here. And there was one slight amendment that Councillor Mulhern asked for, and that she asked this motion to be altered to Whitby Town Council calls on North Yorkshire to place an embargo on planned non-emergency highway works during high season in the parish of Whitby. I think it's very important. We all know what travel chaos happens in Whitby all the time during the peak times. To add to it by having roads closed off because they want to spray off the pavements, it just makes no sense whatsoever. So that's why I called for the motion. I know a lot of people around the table seconded it. So if we could just add in the wording non-emergency.
Can you add that into the motion?
So consider by that time non-emergency highway works. Is that?
Yes,
yeah.
that's the one. So is everybody at Council Dollar?
Can I just ask, can we define the period of high season? Because we may say, it's August, they may say it's, I think we need to define what we're saying.
I'm going to go back to the Councillor Amanda Smith. Would you like to add to that motion?
I would define the area of high season as the tourist industry itself defines its area of high season, i.e. when the prices are highest. So that's during the 6-week school holidays, during school holidays basically, Christmas time, Easter, summer holidays. Their prices in the hoteliers, the people who let rooms, they all have a defined high season. That was where I would coincide it. But if we need a definite one, I'd say school holidays.
I've got Councillor Mulhern and then Councillor McLaren.
Why not just put it down then as during school holidays? Because obviously we've got Christmas, Easter, and all that.
That's it. Are you happy to amend that, Councillor?
Yes, I'm happy to amend that.
And we need to think about, in terms of that, Scottish school holidays are a lot earlier than ours in the summer, so we need to be counting from...
So we need to, the British school holidays.
British, yes, that's what I was thinking.
Councillor McLaren and then Councillor Dalrymple.
Same.
Councillor Dalrymple.
I'm sorry, I think we've got to be reasonable and identify a fair amount of time that they can do the work. Any work that we've done will be disruptive. But if you're saying it's for the how many weeks of the school holidays for that, and if you include the Scottish ones as well, you could be talking 16, 18 weeks out of the year. Is that realistic to say to North Yorkshire, we're only going to allow you so many weeks to do the work in the bad weather, and then when stuff doesn't get done, we're going to complain?
Councillor Brown, come in.
I have to point out, as I live on the piece of road that was going to be and hasn't been done, And it's where the school children come out of school and walk up to get on the school buses. So they sensibly tried to do it during the school holidays so that the kids would not be walking on the black tarmac and taking it home. So now we've stopped it happening altogether, so I've got a pavement that's full of chewing gum. So I think you've got to allow that sometimes there might be times when it's actually beneficial to do it in school times, so I cannot be.
I'm going to go back to Councillor Amanda Smith and ask you to put your motion to the table again, having listened to that, and then we will go, it is seconded, obviously it will need to be seconded if there's a change of wording, and then we're going to go to the vote.
Just stick to the summer holidays.
I mean, I know, for example, that there are embargoes that they place on like scaffolding that's going up, and that does go to school holidays. Obviously, there is discretion within that. Just trying to think on my feet how we can incorporate everything that everybody wants.
Summer holidays.
We certainly are going to get everything that everyone wants. We've got to be realistic.
July now.
Yeah, July and August, when it's the busiest.
So, Whitby Town Council calls on North Yorkshire Council to place an embargo on planned highway works, planned non-emergency highway works during the British school summer holiday season.
Why don't we say July and August?
Okay. Fair enough. I mean, we get down, we do tip into the first week in September. We have a bank holiday that almost always, this is the only year that, well, no, this is very early, so we had a full week afterwards.
Councillors, can I have a definitive motion? And I am not being rude to people when I say this, but if you're going to bring a motion to the table, you really do need to look, and that goes for all of us. I've thrown one in tonight. But we need to do the work before we get into this room. We need to have a definitive motion on the table, and the only way moving on that we will have a discussion like this is if there's an amendment to that motion. We need to stick to the rules of the game, and this really has become a debate on a motion. So, did you get Councillor Amanda Smith's final version of the motion?
So, yeah, I think the last bit. So Whitby Town Council calls on the NYC to place an embargo on non-emergency planned highway works during the British summer holidays.
Yes.
Then I think there was a. If you're happy with that, then that's
I'm happy with that.
We've got a second to that. Is everybody clear on that motion? Yeah. Can we go to the vote? All in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? Any abstentions?
Two abstentions.
Right, that's carried. Thank you. We move on to the number 10(2), a motion moved by Councillor Lynn. If I could just say one comment, Councillor Lynn, and again, I'm not trying to sway anybody, but this council has agreed to totally review its standing orders from start to finish.
I have an amendment to this.
I'm giving you the floor, Councillor Lynn.
I was going to amend this. So, Whitby Town Council have been advised and have agreed, or been advised by YLCA and the external auditor, and have agreed to rationalise their standing orders. So therefore I propose we amend this motion to read Whitby Town Council adopt the now model standing orders and then amend standing order 15 and then carry on as this.
You do realise if we go to a vote on this and it goes through, we cannot alter or look at these standing orders again for 6 months?
We can look at it and update.
Not for 6 months.
Well, we couldn't anyway.
We can. We just need, for each one would have to be seven councillors. To amend the standing order, you need 7 councillors. And it would be done by consensus anyway, so there'd be more than 7 councillors.
Can I suggest that as we have been given an option which we haven't had a chance to all sit and read enough, policies, that we postpone it to be included in part of our already planned amendment.
Is that a motion that we defer this?
Well, no, in that case I will withdraw that and let's go with this motion.
Right, so we've got a motion put forward by Councillor Brown. Would you just repeat that, Councillor Brown, and then I will need a seconder for that.
I'd like to propose that as we are already due to look at our policies in their entirety, that we postpone this and look at it along with everything else, rather than trying to look at one little bit in isolation where we don't understand necessarily what comes before and what comes after, and I cannot see any value in.
And I've got a seconder in Councillor.
Can I argue against that, please?
It would have to be an amendment to that, would it not?
So, just,
Because you
Yeah,
did
sorry, I
just
waffled
withdraw
on
your motion, Councillor Lehman, and said
Sorry?
you did withdraw.
No, I withdraw